Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on the Interlace Pods earrings, and here it is here, and it's an offshoot of an earring to go with the Interlace Pods lariat. We have this little station necklace. So these little beaded beads here are the actual, are the pods. So let's take a look at the earring. So here it is. So it's a very simple sort of organic shape. I've got the little beaded bead here, and I've done bead weaving on the bead, and then I've strung it on using a wire, and I used the crimps and a wire protector as part of the earring. So let me move these out of the way for a second so you can see that, and I'll pull in a little bit. So it's kind of interesting. We're using our findings as part of the jewelry, part of the design of it. So if you notice, I've got two crimps here and I've just flattened them and they look like beads. You can cover them with a crimp cover if you like, but I like the look of that little flat piece of silver there, and these are sterling silver crimps, and what it does is it gives sort of an organic shape to this. Rather than pinching everybody in, it kind of comes in a U, and it's very organic, and it hangs really nice on the ear. And then I used the little wire guardian as part of as the loop, and I beaded it so that it would look pretty. So this is what it came out to, and I think it's really cute. So then I made it in pearls, just to show you that it can be very casual here in little turquoise beads. And here's one in here, pearls. You can dress it up by making out of pearls. And as I said, it's very very organic, and the way it hangs really nicely on your ear, and it's not heavy because the beads aren't super heavy. So we're going to work on the mate to this one. So this is the Hematite Heaven sequence, and this is what the lariat was made out of. So I'm using that same bead sequence to go with the lariat. And so I've got hematite beads here, and I've got some platinum pearls and some matte silver beads. So this is what we're going to do. So let me pull these aside and we'll get a materials list going. So what you're going to need is two 8mm beads, and these are 8mm fire polished beads. And if you haven't done any of the pods, there's a 8mm bead inside here, and we're beading around it. So you'll need two 8mm beads. All right. You're going to need some 11/0 seed beads, and I'm using matte metallic silver. I'm just going with that. If you've done Hematite Heaven, I'm going with that bead sequence. Pretty much. I've left out some things, but just the gray beads. So, yeah, I mean, you can really put anything on this that you like. This is just what I'm doing. So you need some 3mm hematite round beads. You need some 8/0 seed beads. I'm using black. You need some 4mm beads. I'm using pearls. And that's this bead here. 4 of those. And then you need some 3mm. I forgot to put those out. Let's find those. And like I said, you can really use anything you want here. Might even be pretty to put silver for more of a shine, but I'm using the platinum pearls at the moment because I want to make the mate to this so I can wear it. So you'll need just a couple of those. They're just the little bead right here before the wire protectors. You'll need some hardware, a couple of ear wires, couple of wire guardians, and these are 5mm wire guardians. You'll need 4 crimp tubes, crimp beads, a little stop bead. I'm using one of these little springy bead stoppers on the wire part. And speaking of wire, you need some SoftFlex beading wire, some Wildfire, Fireline, any bead weaving thread to make the little the beaded bead. Size 11 beading needle. Probably get away with a 10. You'll need a wire cutters, and you'll need a flat nose pliers. Now you don't need if you want, you can use a crimp tool only if you're going to cover. Let me see if I can move this over a little bit. Only if you're going to cover these crimps right here. So if you use a crimp tool, then you're gonna have to cover them. If I'm just using I'm making a flat crimp so I can use it as part of the design. So I'm just using my flat nose pliers to flatten these out, and they come out great. It's good practice too if you want to learn to do some crimping and some, and not use a crimp tool. So give that a try. All right, so I think that's it. So why don't you gather up your materials and we'll get started making this interlace pods earring. See you in a minute. Okay, we're back, and I've threaded my needle with about an arm span of Wildfire or Fireline, and I strung on 4 11-0 seed beads. I drop those down to my stop bead. I'm going to come up the first 11-0, past my stop bead just like that. That's going to give me a little right angle weave unit. Okay, and pick up a 3mm. In this case I'm picking up a hematite, and 4 11-0s. Drop those down to the previous unit. Come up the first seed bead past the 3mm. Now if you've done any of the interlace pieces, then you know this and you can skip ahead past this section. But I'm going to do this, I'm going to do the bead again for those of you who have never done this before. This is what you have. Pick up a 3mm, 4 11-0s. Drop those down. Make sure you're nice and tight. You want to keep, you don't want any thread showing. Come up the first 11-0, past the 3mm. Make another little unit. Just like that. One more time. 3mm, 4 11-0s. Drop those down. Come up the first 11-0, past the 3mm. Just pull your units, make sure they travel down a little bit, just loosen up your thread and then pull it tight again so that the unit is next to your 3mm. Just comes out better. All right, so this is what you have. Now I'm just going to move my stop bead a little bit because I'm going to make this into a circle. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to pick up a 3mm. I'm going to come back through all the beads right here. So the 11-0, the 3mm, the 11-0, 3mm, 11-0, 3mm, and the 11-0. Just like that. That's going to close it up. This is what you have. Just like that. Now come around and reinforce all the way around. So come through the 3mm, the 11-0, 3mm, 11-0, 3mm, 11-0, 3mm, 11-0. My goal here is to get past where my tail thread and stop bead are coming out of. 3mm, 11-0. So I'm going to go one more time. 3mm, 11-0. This is what I have. Okay, so I'm coming out of an 11-0 here. I'm going through this one of the right angle weave units, so this 11-0, come up the side 11-0 of that unit and the top. And that's going to set us up for the next round. So I'm going to stop here and let you get to this point and then meet me back here in a few minutes and we'll continue. All right, see you in a few. We're back. So I'm coming out of the top seed bead of a right angle weave unit, pick up 3 11-0s. You're coming out of here, come around the other end, side of that bead, and make another unit, just like that. I'll pull in just a teeny bit more for this. Okay, pick up an 11-0, a 3mm, and an 11-0. through the next top seed bead of the next unit. Just like that. Pick up 3 11-ohs. You're coming out of this side of the seed bead. Just come around, put on another unit. Just like that. 11-oh, 3mm 11-oh. Come through the top seed bead of the next unit. Just like that. Oops. I lost 2 of my beads, so let's try that again. 11-oh, 3mm, 11-oh. There you go. Like that. Pick up 3 11-ohs. Coming out of here, come around. Just like that. Pick up an 11-oh, 3mm 11-oh. Come through the top seed bead of the next unit. Just like that. 3 11-ohs. You're coming out of here. Just come around. Just like that. Pick up an 11-oh, a 3mm, and an 11-oh. Now here you're going to come through this seed bead right here, which is the top seed bead of the previous unit. See that right there? Or the bottom seed bead of the next unit, but you want to come through this one right here. So take a look real close at that. Pull those through. Just like that. And you're going to start to cup a little bit. That's what you want to do. Now reinforce all the way around again. So we're just coming through the 11-oh, 3mm 11-oh, the 11-oh, here, 11-oh, 3mm 11-oh, like that. This 11-oh, just doing it in sections just so, you know, if it's hard for you to see it, this might make it easier. So 11-oh, 3mm 11-oh, just like that. Again, I'm headed towards where my tail thread is coming out of. Just like that. And as you keep going, it pulls together a little bit. Now you don't want to pull it too tight, but you want to keep it, you want it snug. We're going to pull it a little bit more when we put the bead in, but we want to make sure that we can get our bead in. All right, so you want to come out of an 11-oh at the bottom of one of these right angle weave units here. So here, do you see where I'm coming out? I'll pull in real tight. See that? All right. So come through the side bead of that unit and the top bead. Just like that. Now we're going to take 3 11-ohs coming out of here, come around, put on another unit. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did on the last row. 11-oh, 3mm 11-oh, come through the top seed bead of the next unit. Just like that. 3 11-ohs coming out of here, come around, make another unit. Okay? Make sure you pull it so that everybody is snug up against each other. 11-oh, 3mm 11-oh, top seed bead of the next unit. And keep doing that until you get all the way around, and then reinforce, and then meet me back there after you reinforce and we'll do our next round. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back, and this is what we have. Got this little, it's cupped up quite a bit. We've got 3 of the 3mm on. Now before we do the last round, let's put the bead in. So pick up your 8mm bead and pop it in. And it should fit in nicely. Mine's a little bit loose, but it depends on what you're using. A fire polish, excuse my arm there, fire polish is a little more oval, so it's a little bit loose. If you're using an 8mm, let's say gemstone, it might be a little bit tighter because it's round, more round. Okay, so we want to come, just like we did before, we want to come up the side seed bead and the top, just like that. And then you just want to take a 3mm and go through the top seed bead of the next unit. Closing it up now. Make sure your hole is at the top because we're going to use that hole. You can thread a needle and put a stop bead on either end, you know, and just have the thread hanging out either end if you want to make sure that the hole stays there, because it could spin. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to have a bunch of threads hanging out. So 3mm through the next seed bead. 3mm through the next seed bead. One more. 3mm through the next seed bead, and then reinforce all the way around. Like that. Now, as I said, depending on the bead you use in the middle is going to depend on how tight your weave is. So mine's a teeny bit loose, so I'm going to make sure I reinforce this really well. But this one is made also with a fire polish, and you know, once you're done, it comes out fine. All right, so I want you to go around, reinforce, and then I want you to make sure you're coming out of a seed bead right there. Okay, so I'm going to let you get to this point, reinforce, come out of a seed bead, and then we're going to just fill in some of these spaces. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. Now I've reinforced, I'm coming out of a seed bead. So I'm going to move my needle, and I'm going to pull in real tight for this one. I want to fill in this space right here. There's a little space. You can't really see it very much, but I like to fill it in with a seed bead. You don't have to. Coming out of here, come through this bead right there. Come through this bead right here. So we're working around our units to get through this 3mm. So that this bead right here, the one under it, and the 3mm. Just like that. And that puts you into position to put some seed beads on. So pick up an 11/0. You're coming out of this 3mm. Just pop over to the next one. And come on up like that. And that's just going to place a seed bead right there. Pick up a seed bead, come down the other side of this one, just like that, and that's going to put a seed bead right there. And that just fills in that space a little bit and tightens things up. Okay, so come down the 3 seed beads and the 3mm, so the 3 seed beads under this 3mm and the 3mm after the 3 seed beads, just like that, and then you're going to do the same thing. Just move your piece a little bit in your fingers, pick up an 11/0, just like that. Pull, straighten out your 11/0s, make sure they're sitting nice. Pick up an 11/0, come down the other side. Okay, and then just come down the 3 seed beads and the 3mm, just like that. And do the same thing on the last 2 groups of 3mm, and then meet me back here and we'll have a bead. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back, and so I've filled everybody in, and I'm coming out of, I've just moved my needle down to come out of the seed bead before a 3mm, and I'm just going to tie a 1/2 hitch knot here. So just pick up a thread, go under, make a loop, come through the loop, tighten it down, come through your 3mm to pull the knot in. And you can do that a couple of times. And then take off your stop bead and do the same thing with your tail. And then meet me back here with your wire and your other materials, and we'll make this into an earring. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back, and I have my bead, and I've strung it on my wire. I put on a little, one of the sort of springy stoppers, and this is the sequence I want you to put on. You can put any sequence you want. So there's about 10 inches of wire So 3mm, 4mm, 3mm, 3/8. 3mm, 4mm, 3mm, 3/8. A hematite 3mm or 3mm pearl, a hematite 3mm, a crimp, an 8/0, the wire protector, and 7 11/0s. So put this on one side, and the other side you can put everything except the wire protector and the 7 11/0s. Okay, so get that done, and then meet me back here, and we'll close this thing up. All right, see you in a few. Okay, so I'm all strung on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one side, and this takes a little maneuvering, but you'll get it. So I'm just going to take one side, and I have a pretty long wire, so I'm going to pull my stopper down a bit. And I'm going to, that has the 11/0s on it, and I'm just going to come down through the other side of my wire protector. And this is just going to decorate the wire protector. And I'm not going to pull super tight yet because I have more wire to go through there. And then, so I'm going to leave that like so. All right, you just want to come down the other side of the wire protector, just like that. So I'm going to take off my stopper, and this is going to, it takes a little bit of maneuvering, but just do it carefully. You want the other end, you want to come up through the other side of the wire protector, just like this. And if you can get through any of the 11/0s, come through those also. If you can't, we'll get there. So you're just going to pull like that gently. We don't want to pull super tight right now. So this is what you're going to have. See? And now you just want to bring this thread, this piece of wire, through all the beads that are on the wire protector. And it may seem like they're not going to fit, but they will. You just have to play with it a little bit. So just sort of, hold the beads until you can pop it through. You may have to move them around, but you see, or just do one at a time. And it may pull the wire up a little. Don't worry about it. It's all going to come in. Just don't rack it out and pull it too tight yet. So keep coming around. Like that. You can almost like take your thumbnail and push the seed bead up so there's a little space in there to get the wire in. See that? So I'm still pulling. And while I'm doing it, make sure you don't rack it out. You want to keep this straight. Okay? So pull a little bit. Get through your last few beads, just like that. You see how I'm using my thumbnail to push those beads up a little bit? That way I'm getting through all my beads. All right, so that's gonna come out through the last bead. And you want it, well, mine's going all the way down, so you definitely want to go through the wire protector. Whoops. Be careful that you don't miss the wire protector, because I just missed it, and you don't want to miss it. If you have to take your pliers and just pull like that, do that. Okay, just like that. Come through the wire protector. Just like that, through the 8/0, through the crimp, and through the 3mm hematite. So if you can't get them all at once, just do them one at a time. See, so go like that, and then pull that through, just like that. Okay, looks a little racked out right now, but we'll straighten it out. Now at this point, you want to pull this down a little bit, and then we want to take the other side, and you want to come through, pull. You want to pull, and make sure you get this on your wire protector. So you might have to just, give it a little bit of a pull. Come through your 8/0, your crimp, and the 3mm. If you can get through the next bead, go through the next bead. I'm coming through a little pearl here, so I don't know that it's going to make it through the pearl, but it might. Oh, and it did. That's excellent. Sometimes the pearls have small holes and you can't get it through the pearl, but if you can, I say, go through as many beads as you can. So I got on one of my pearls, I was able to get it through. Let's see if I can get it through this one. Okay, that one's gonna fight me a little bit, so I'm not gonna really worry about that. And now I'm going to pull and just make sure that you're through all your beads and your crimps. Give it a pull. You can even take your, hold it with your thumb and just take your pliers and give it a little pull. You want to make sure you don't have too many, you know, there's not too much wire showing. You don't want the beads to all bunch up either. You want it to be nice and smooth, and that's just, I think, experience with wire, you know, with using wire for weaving. So this is what you have, okay? Now what we're going to do is you're going to hold it and you're going to straighten out. If you've racked out your wire protector a little bit, straighten it out. Just hold it like so. All right, now take your, hold it like that, and you want to make sure that your crimps are next to each other. There's a little bit of maneuvering involved, but it'll be fine. Okay, so then take your flat nose and flatten out your crimp on one side. Okay, come on the other side. Flatten out your crimp on the other side, just like that. So then you have these two flat crimps, and if you need to straighten them out, just hold it and hold them together and give it a nice straight pull. You know, flatten, press, just like that. All right, then cut off your threads or your the extra wire, and there you go. You've got your little earring. See, that's cool. See how cool that is? There you go. So then all you have to do at this point is open up your ear wire. Just like that. Pop it on. See, now be careful you don't bend. You really should be using two pliers at this point. If I went out of frame, I'm going to do it again, which I probably did. Let me pop out a little bit. Okay, here we go. So hold it flat with one, because when you hold your finger, I mean, I end up just racking them out. I'm a little, you know, hard on my wires. And this is one of those wires that closes from the back. So just make sure you hold it and you keep it straight when you close it up. All right? I know that was a little bit of an odd. And sometimes too, when I close this, I mean, it's crooked, and the reason it's crooked is because I bent my wire. So you want to just hold it, and you want to make sure that when you're looking at it, that your wire is straight. Okay, and I could see that my wire is crooked, and it's going to make my earring hang crooked. So just make sure it's straight. You want to make sure that that's a lot of times when an earring doesn't hang straight, you think, oh, it's the earring. It isn't. It's the way you've done the wire. Like this one, because you know I did this one off camera. It's nice and straight. Okay, so here you go. Here are earrings. I'll pull out the others. Okay. Just checking. Sometimes they on camera, when I'm looking through my little screen here, things look bigger. You know, like one might look bigger than the other. It's just the perspective. They're fine. Okay, so here are all our earrings. Here's the lariat. Okay, I have the bracelet somewhere. Here, I pulled out a bracelet because I didn't mention the bracelet before. So here's the bracelet that we made. This one is in amethyst, so you can even do a bracelet if you want. And I know that several of you, many of you are interested in the station necklace, and rather than do a video on it, because it's the same thing, it's that same beaded bead, and it's the same as sort of this as the lariat. I just took the beaded bead and I just did a number of beads in between each one, and I think I have, well, I'll count them, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I have 11 beads on this, and it makes about, I think, about a 24-inch necklace. So just any sequence you like, just make a whole bunch of the beads and then just put a sequence on. And I did it on the wire just like I did everything else, and I just put a little toggle on this. So here you go. Here's our interlace pods. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.